Now, a little bit ago, DC was known for making really bad decisions with their characters, from the pretty terrible movie record to their, let's say, questionable decisions regarding some of their most beloved character, namely Dick Grayson, but we don't want to go into that. But nowadays, DC has been making some pretty great ideas with their characters and pretty great decisions overall, especially their new Absolute Universe, which has been pretty well known throughout the days now because of just how good it is and where it came from. So yeah, today we're just going to talk about the Absolute Universe, what's so good about it, and how it came to be. So let's just get right into it. Now, the Absolute Universe came about after the crossover event called Absolute Power, written by Mark Waid. And it was a pretty good, one of the best, actually, crossover events that came out of DC over the last couple of years. And yeah, it was about how the superheroes lost their powers due to Amanda Waller using some weird gizmo that took away people's powers. It was pretty fun, but after this came a one-shot called DC All In, which explained how the Absolute Universe came to be. Basically, this universe was literally created by Darkseid using his energy, so he basically killed himself and created the Absolute Universe where there is no superheroes. It's a pretty crazy one shot. I highly recommend you reading that. Also read Absolute Power so you can understand what the hell is going on, because if you didn't, things would be a little weird, I'm guessing. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy way to create a new universe. But yeah, after that, they created the whole Absolute Universe, and, well, as you can see, that's history. So we're just kind of going to go into the titles of this new universe and explain why it's so good. With the start of one being, of course, Absolute Batman. Now, if you haven't heard of Absolute Batman, you're probably lying from the sales figures alone, and the fact that pretty much every single comic book YouTuber is talking about Absolute Batman. It's a genuinely great comic with, holy shit, over 400,000 copies sold? Jesus Christ. Yeah, it is actually the most sold comic book of the year, believe it or not. So, yeah, that's pretty insane if you ask me. But why is it so good? Why do people like it? Well, let's just dig into it. This entire Batman universe is way different from Batman how we know him. Instead of being a multi-billionaire playboy philanthropist, this one is actually a blue-collar worker who works around Gotham as a civil engineer. So giving us a reason how he knows where to go and where to hide, and how to create his bases, which is a pretty great idea. Come to think of it, if Batman wasn't rich, how would he know where to go and how to hide all of his gear? Well, let's just make him into a civil engineer who knows all about the city like the back of his hand. And that's really smart. Also, the difference is that both his parents didn't die. Only his father died this time during a whole field trip to the zoo, which is pretty interesting, come to think of it. Also, as I said before, this time he's actually broke-ass poor. This Batman is actually fucking relatable to me for once. Yeah, but other than that, he's also friends with all of his villains. All of his villains, actually grew up with him. So, the Penguin, Killer Croc, Catwoman, all those guys are actually his friends. And the only person who isn't his friends, of course, is the Joker, who's actually the rich one in this case, and doesn't look to be the smiling one either from the looks of things. Also, Alfred is now some sort of super spy and wants to help out Bruce after he realizes that this guy isn't actually one of the crazy ones. The main villain of this comic is actually Black Mask and the Party Animals, and they do some pretty insane shit, some actual fucking stuff that you would see in a fucking YouTube horror video with the amount of shit they do, and it's pretty cool. Also, Batman is fucking huge in this. Batman Who Laughs, get out of here. More like the Batman Who Lives. This guy's fucking bulked. This dude is huge. He's massive. And honestly, it makes sense. If you're gonna kick ass, why not look like you're a giant fucking Hulk? Why not? It sounds like a good idea. So yeah, also his cape is actually a giant weapon that he uses. It's basically kind of like an origami cape or something along those lines. And it's actually really awesome how he could just use it to wrap people around it, or throw people around. Also, of course, the bat on his chest is used as a fucking battle axe, which is awesome. He literally cuts this guy's hand off, which, can't get any cooler than that. It's a really cool story and really inventive on how to create a Batman in the modern day. And I really like it, and apparently I'm not the only one from the sales alone. So yeah, highly recommend this story. And yeah, let's just get into the next one, which is Absolute Wonder Woman. Now this Absolute story, of course, is a bit different from the ones we all know. Instead of being raised on Paradise Island with all the Amazons, this time all the Amazonians are dead, and she's raised in hell by an enchantress. So yeah, that's definitely changing things up. This entire first issue is more or less just a giant origin story, just seeing Diana grow up in hell and becoming like a sorceress and a warrior, and she finally figures out that she's an Amazonian, and she kicks some ass, and she dresses like this and has a fucking flying skeleton pony thing. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I want to say it's as good as Absolute Batman, but it's still a really fun read, and art, as per usual, is pretty great. So yeah, pretty fun little story. Wouldn't exactly say it's as good, but I think it'll get better as it goes along. But yeah, that's it for that one. Now let's get into, I'm pretty sure what's my favorite is Absolute Superman. Now, Absolute Superman is different from his main counterpart is that he actually grew up on Krypton for a couple of years and, understands what it's like to be on Krypton. Also, what's different is that there's like a caste society in Krypton now, and the people with the Superman symbol are actually like the lower class workers, the blue-collar workers known as People of Steel, which is actually pretty good. His dad was actually supposed to be like a super scientist, but because people didn't like him, he was forced to become a person of steel and a blue-collar worker along with the rest of the fucking peasants, I guess. And that's how he met his wife. And yeah, it's all really interesting stuff. It's a bit on the nose politically, especially when Superman appears and he's fighting people who are like just trying to enslave Argentinians to make like this sort of like weird alloy or whatever it's called. I don't really know, honestly. But honestly, it's really cool, and I really enjoy it a lot. Also, the Superman suit is pretty fucking cool. It has like an AI on it, which is basically supposed to be Helix from the original Superman story. And also Lois Lane is like part of the group that is oppressing the people and turning them into minors. So that'd be a really interesting thing to see where it's going to happen, like how their relationship is going to play out compared to like how it originally is. But yeah, those are the comics that are out right now. But soon there's going to be some more. There's going to be Absolute Martian Manhunter, which looks pretty interesting from the art alone. Absolute Flash, which also looks super interesting, how it's going to be created and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this whole new universe, and I can't wait to see what's going on later, especially with Absolute Batman. That shit is pretty epic. I really like Absolute Batman. So yeah, that's about it for me today, and I'll see you next time.